useful for anybody that doesn't know. Um, just to welcome everybody who's not actually in this session so far, we're just going to continue on with the spring washer. I think today this is pretty much going to be it as far as deliverable materials go. I'm not saying that the sessions are over, because they're not, but I don't want to go too deep now, where in the end I'm actually writing you all a 2-1, because at the minute we're on to a good solid 2-2. We've got the good baseline set up. There's a few more sneaky bits, and there's a bit of polishing that I want to do today with the code that we've presently done. Sorry, Jack, I'm just waiting for you. Come on. Yeah, I know. Everybody would want me to do that, but I can't make it a 2-1, because if I make it a 2-1, essentially everybody get a 2-1 by default, dropping the average. Dropping that average would make it more difficult to do the assignment. So as much as a lot will be furious, the truth of it is it actually does you a favour. Gives you more window to make it a much more successful bit of code. Right, let me just come into here. Oh yeah, well, I wouldn't say that's the truth. Don't aim for just a 2-2. There's little bits of extra. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am going to point you directly at what these things I've been looking for to make it that little bit better. You can see though, one important thing is, you know, we've done the spring washer, and hang on a minute, let me just pull. Oh, that's not it, that's something else completely. We've done the spring washer. The geometry is very, very, very basic. So, literally by doing this geometry, I've limited what I can do. I've really limited what I can do, because it's so basic. There's not much more within it. I mean, you must admit now we are getting to the point where the code looks pretty mint. You know, it's holding out pretty well like we want it to. But doing it so it's on the next level is tricky, and it is in something like this because it is so dead basic. But this is a rerun from last week's code that we put together. So if I run that again, enter into the tool. As a reminder, it runs into the user form, and within the user form we built a back button so we can jump backwards and forwards. I've got a standards tool so I can bring out the standards. We had a repositioning of the boxes. The repositioning of the boxes is mint. You must admit, it does really give it that feeling of that it's almost completely different. Now, the one thing that I've not really spelt out is this button can also change pictures. So you can have a picture here like that, you can have a picture here for something like that. And my point is if you wanted to drag out values and put it into a picture, you could easily do that as well. Everything that we've done here will allow you to do that. This is what allows me to mark you that little bit extra, just because it's showing that you're going above and beyond what you need to. There's a couple of bits I'd like to start with. See this user form one. Ideally, does that need removing? Arguably, yes, it does. Again, but that's just renaming of the function that you're talking about. But what I'll do first is, one thing that everybody wants when it finishes is they want to save it. They always want to save it. So we'll go in a diameter, and let's go. Now we're agreeing, just for argument's sake, that these particular sizes were going to be M sizes. And if you remember, we added an extra one onto it, which was 22, which that still doesn't work right. So if I go just 6, build the standard on 6. Now there is a reason I'm running it through. You'll see in just a second. So I go to do a one run again. Now, for argument's sake, let's say that you run through and you actually want 5 different versions. Rather than 5 different versions being run and you having to click save it, what if we put in a save as? But the one thing that can be confusing is, let's say you're running it 5, 10, 15 times and you're pulling out different ones, and you're going to have to go to save as, name it. It's a ball ache. You and me both know it's such a ball ache, because you'll end up with hundreds, or you'll end up with 10 or whatever. You'll end up with multiple versions of the spring washer, which just makes it, doesn't add to productivity. In fact, it slows it down. As me and you both know, it would slow things down massively. So if I go no. Now, the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to go File, Save As. Oh, sorry, forgot. I'm going to record. I'm going to go Save As. And I'll just call this, yeah, I'll just call it Part 1. And, right, so now all we need to do is stop. Now, as I've told everybody before, I call everything dummy just because I'll get mixed up and I'll overwrite stuff and I will be revving. I'll be so annoyed. So, click save. Now what we're going to do is we're going to play around with that function. We're going to get that function working, and then what we're going to have is a way to run it, offer the user an option to save it. If they want to save it, then we're going to tab it and we're going to actually pull the variable that the user inputted, put it into the name and output it with an M value and that variable that they chose. I know, right? That is pretty sexy. So I'm going to go edit, I'm going to go dummy, I'm going to go open. So that is our that is, if you followed me on this, Jack, you should know that, well, you should get something similar to that. Don't forget, if it's above and beneath and you've got Cosmos works appearing, just remove them, just because we don't need them. We're not interested in that for this particular point. Now, the long status part.saveas3 is Dassault's newest version of the save as. It's supposed to be a bit more accurate, a bit more reliable, because the amount of times people open parts and you go, this is corrupted. What they're essentially trying to do is find a way of taking that image and making it more and more reliable. But what we're going to do is chop it up. So, this is the tricky bit. Now, that is what comes out as the label. So that's what it says. It says, right, that's the address. And the save as looks for an address, and then it looks for a reference, then it looks for a command module, which in this case is 2. And it just refers to the options that are coming out on it. Now, 0 and 2 will make it as a SolidWorks part. I think it's 1 and 2 which make it an assembly. I think. I need to double check that. Now, just out of curiosity, have you ever played around? What level of coding have you done before? I only ask because it gives me a scope to kind of. Okay, then that's good. So, if I wanted to take this label and I wanted to stick extra bits on the end, what I can actually say is ampersand. And I could say, right, if I put a comment into that and I say Matt is rocking, what it would do is it would bring in that address, and then when you get part 1.sld part, it would then add on to the end of that Matt is rocking. Right. And it's all down to this ampersand. The ampersand will allow us to do it, but the issue is here is we have a variable name, then we've got the command of the type. So it becomes a bit of a pain in the backside here. So what I'll do is I'm just going to delete out part 1. I'm going to drop in, I nearly said comma, I forgot what it's called. Anyway, I've just gone completely blank. I'm going to close that statement out. Then I'm going to type in ampersand. And all we're going to do at the minute is we're going to test this. If this works, happy days. If not, damn it. Because at least then this gets us to the first step of what we need to know. So now what I'll do is go comment, and I'm just going to type in, well, we'll just call it test. This test marker here that I'm putting in will become whatever we will name it, if you know what I mean. So then what I'm going to do is put in another ampersand and then close it. Now just tab off. That is how we should get it. Now, if this works, as I said, I'll run it. God, I got some crap up here. Then I'll run it, and when it executes, it should grab the model, then output it, and call it test. Thing is, this model will not be called that. So let's just try that. I'm going to run it from main. Right, so let's check. Open. So test is in. So that's worked. Now the real point is here. Do we if I just go back to my tab here, and I don't know if it's going to allow me to do this. So if I close that, what I'm going to do, Jack, is I just want to see if, where has that been sent to? Oh, it's been sent to the wrong spot. What a swine. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to delete that, yerp, and delete that, yerp. The reason I'm doing this is if I run it through in a single cycle, like I was just testing on the code, if I run it through, I can just see exactly how this is going to be outputted. So I run it, I'm just going to go on a normal variable, so stick to the 6 and then run it through again. And builds up the part. I don't want to run again. Right, so now let's go to the dummy and then let's run it. Run. So let's just test it. So test is coming in, which is good. The issue is now is you look, we're on the closed part bit. So what I'm going to do is record, and I'm going to close the part off and stop. Ah, now I nearly messed that up then because I'm still working in dummy. So I am going to have to go dummy 1. Lots of dummies. Coming to dummy 1. Yeah, so run through, clones and so on to parts, and then let's try that. Because what I'm going to do then is, if this works exactly as we want it to, which I'm pretty confident it will. So part of nothing right now. Okay. Now that I don't need. So that's remaining open. So that's coming from here. Yeah, that's coming from there. So I'm going to close that. And close that. Right, so you see what I'm trying to do is make sure that when this runs, I don't end up with 20 million parts. Because let's say you're going through it, you're making like, I don't know, 10 different spring washers with all different variables. The last thing that you want is keep running it, and then you end up with hundreds of these parts opened. I'll drop it to 5, something different. Again, as we're going through, if there's anything please, you know, I'm open to any questions on this. So now stop that from running. Right, so 2 seconds. So then I'm going to try running test and also closing this. Ah, right, I've just spotted an error. If you look there, close document part 3. That is a pain. That is a pain. So what we actually want to do is try and close all documents. So let's just go VBA. Close document example, let's just have a look. So we see here part title. That is a bummer. Right, let's just try coming back. What we essentially want it to do is we don't want it to trip up. So at this point now I'm at part 4 and it's because it's incrementing. So that's going to be a problem because it wants reference. So let's just, I mean, because if I run that, we'll probably find this one doesn't close. So if I run it, yeah, debug, and it'll stop. Oh right, yeah, I can change that, and it'll stop there. Because we're 3, and then we have 4, so we need to figure out a way to close that. That is a tricky one. Okay, I'm just going to try this once again because I'm just curious as to if close that, don't save, and stop that. It's going to put it onto dummy 2, and I just want to check, or dummy 1 even. Replace it, yep. And then let's go back into that code again and let's just take a look at it. Yeah, it's still referenced to there. This is tricky because we've got an increment on that. We need to know what the part number is to close it. Let's have a look. There is one thing we could try. See, that one is a common one. Yeah, we could do variable of the full code, but if we do variable of the full code, what it implies is we'd have to increment, if you will, keep a counter running. But if there is a way to look at the part number, so what I mean is, in this case, if we go find part number, VBA, SolidWorks, because we can find the part number, get part number used in, oh no, no, oh no, that's not the one I'm after. Get names of bodies. It's really not what we're after either. All we want to know is ooh, hello. Get path name. Oh no, because that's just a point where it's stored. Get type, bodies. We're after the part number. I may come back to this because it's irritating me. So I mean, that for example, get path name is just where this has been stored. So that's probably not going to do that justice. Because I mean, like we were just saying then, what we could do is drop it there and then go increment of whatever that. And the issue is if we were going to put a variable into it, what variable number is it? How do we know what number it is that's running? Okay, let's try and get part number. So, just looking through his options here. Parts, features, stats, examples. Let's have a look. Ah. Ooh, hang on. What if we don't... What if we don't go for the part number, but we go for... go for the active document. Right, forums. Swear to God, best thing in the world, forums. That's a very good shout, that one. So that brings in SolidWorks as normal, and then Boolean, then sets SolidWorks active application, and set SW model as SolidWorks application active document, and then SW app dot close document. Yeah, no, I was just thinking that. I swear to God, I was just thinking that. In fact, we were just discussing that. I'll deny everything if you say otherwise. Right, so if I just come to there. In essence, if we can close that document, it stops us from having 20 gazillion copies. As much as that's me massively exaggerating. But it stops us from having millions and millions of copies. Now, in here we've got a fresh one. You notice there that we have SW model. So I'm just going to drop that in as SW model. And let's give that a roll. I'm going to have to run through the normal step on here just to get the old cycle back. So bring the old thing back, run again, and then we'll run on 5. Right, so let's bring it up to side. And I mean, this might crash, but the idea is if we can save this and shut the active document, we can then move on, if you know what I mean. We can then ask the user, do you want to run again? Because you've then shut the active document, but we'll have to put this in a save option. So if I step. So that's saved it. 7 part is nothing. Object not a variable, SW part. Brilliant. Now, presuming on 11, SW part. Wow, SW part doesn't seem to be defined. Okay, then I'm going to have to define it, which is weird because you look there. Unless I'm totally missing it, I'm going blind here. Don't see SW part being defined. No, it's not. It's definitely not defined. So I'll go dim SW part. Now in this case, I'm looking at what it is. I'm suspecting this is an object. So let's try that. F8, step it through. Yeah, it's not even been set. That's not good, not good. Because you see, I've got it here, but it never gets declares anything. It's weird, is that? Never actually noticed that one being there before. Argument not options. Debug. Right, that's because I'm messing with stuff now. Not happy with me trying to do stuff. Right, so that's coming in. Just bring that in then, and I'm going to drop this further one down. I'll show you where this is coming from in a minute, because I'm quite interested to try and get this sorted and shut off. Guy I was just looking at then, he was suggesting that we tried SW. Who'd have thought all this to shut it off? So we're in, and oh, look at that. That means all this is crap, by the way. But that little beauty section then. Right, so that's great. Haha, yeah, I knew you'd start tapping now. I'm just going to comment that out. Yeah, no, absolutely. So what I'm actually going to do is I just want to run this again, but I'm going to run it from the test, which is actually the renamed piece. This might cause it to crash though, because I'm actually telling it to save the part as test. Oh no, and activates the document. That's boom. That's happy days. So what we got now is we do have an active part. So let's get rid of all that. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. And that is our big, useful bit of kit. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back into the... Right, so, wow, sorry about that, Joe. So, on here, this was the baseline that was onto it. Now, I was having a look at a forum, and I was having a look at a discussion on here. And you look here, what he's actually saying is, option explicit is quite useful actually, but he was actually saying dim SolidWorks model as an object. And what this is doing is it says, right, SolidWorks is the active bit, then set SolidWorks model as the SolidWorks active model, then it says the SolidWorks active model, close the document, find whatever path that is and shut it. And it doesn't even give you an option to save. Well, really, it doesn't matter, because that's what we've done here. We've put that saving element. And that's all it really is. Now, because I'm not sure, what I'm going to do is leave that there for a minute. I'm going to go back into the code and we're going to go down to the bottom, and I think we need a new subroutine with this. So I'm going to go sub save, and then I'm literally going to dump everything. So I'm going to dump all this. It's going to bring up some errors at first because we're not sure what it's going to actually ask for. But I'm just going to dump all that into there. Get rid of that. And get rid of that. So all I've done now is I've literally dumped everything that we've just designed there and put it into here. So we know now that when we hit save, it should close it. We can even put in an option to open it. Oh hell, now I'm getting even worse. What we could actually do, arguably, is put in a way to browse. Check the present parts. Do I want to do that though? The more I do, the more it pulls away, if you know what I mean. So what I'd like to do though is set you up so you're able to do that, so you're aware of how to do that. Right, so this is going to be fun. Ish. Kind of. Maybe. Probably not. Now what we know is we want to call it after the name, don't we? We're going to go M, so we'll go M type. On the end of my address point, I'm going to call that M. And this is where our variable is going to be. So I'm going to go uppercase here and just put var, because I need to find where the variable is going to come from. So let's go all the way to the top. I mean, I don't really need to, because if you remember, A was our internal. So I go into my notes. A was, oh god, I even forgot to put that on. That's awkward. It was the inner diameter. The inner diameter for the spring washer, and that was going to be our predefined value, if you remember. So what I'll do is drag that down. I'm going to type in E, type in A, whoops, type in A, and technically now it should pull it out, bring it M, and then put A directly with it, and then put the SolidWorks.SLD SLD part straight after. Now, I think we pull directly here. So if you look here, we've got L, and I'm sure. Let me just check above. No, we didn't. We didn't define it just because it was being a temporary carried value. What we're going to do is we're going to have multiple options now. Before they get to the end, let me just bring that down. In essence, I'm going to nick all of this. The same construct relies, yes. So, right, what we call this? Call this S. Not is. Elith. We're going to go S. Let's go. Do you want to save? We could put it in. Right, we need a yes or no. So, as I've done before, not that. As I've done before, what I'm going to quickly do is pull up the last set of notes. 2 minutes. Working with, oh, it's not working with user phones for sure. It's not this one. I'll go open. 2 minutes. I'll find it from here. Okay, I'll go computer 72. I'll open that and I can navigate myself back. So interactions, actually, no, that was the one. So if we scroll down, what we're looking for is a question mark, so we know our first point is going to be 3. I think we just go 3 and 5. Question mark with yes and no interface. So let me just drop the user forms one. So coming down, oh, we're still on 3 and 5. and we know 6 returns yes, doesn't it? So if 6 returns yes, so drop that, go S. So if 6 returns yes, what this is now is not go to the start. This is now call save. And I think we run that through, we test it and see what it returns. If you've not done already, make sure you hit save. Before I push on, have you any questions on this? Anything that you want me to do again on that? Sweet. Okay. So I'm going to scroll down. Now if you remember, tab into the border. If we tab into the border, we can step it out when we get to that bit. So I'll just push onto this side. This will be quite interesting. Because we could genuinely look at what files are in there and run it that way. So scroll it back up. And come again and then roll. So I'll go enter as normal. I'll choose something fresh. We'll go 20. And what we want it to do is to pull it out as M20. We could really call it M20 spring washer, couldn't we? So if I go yes. So duplicates. Duplicates are a problem. Because, I mean, as I said, I knew that this was going to emerge. So I'll comment that out. This is going to happen a few times. But yeah, it'd be better if it actually labels itself for what it genuinely is. So I'll run it again. Standards, and I'll go 10, something different. So then, do you want to save? Yes, I do want to save the present part. Right. Oh, it didn't work. No. Interesting. That didn't work. We need to figure out why that didn't work. And I'm suspecting it's to do with... I think it's to do with the model, with SW model. It said duplicate on SW model. So have we got... Oh, that is painful. That is painful. It's somewhere in here. Please tell me there's a find. Let's just go like that. How is that duplicate? That is not duplicate. I'm going to bring that back when I find out what that was complaining about. Not a happy bunny. Because that is not a duplicate. That is a single declaration. So let's get back in it again. Oh, I bet you love code now, don't you, Jack? To be fair, it is a lot of fun once you get into it. Go 18, run it again. Yes, I do. Duplicate declaration in current scope. Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good thing. Duplicate declaration, present scope, right, so we've now got even more that we've got to fix now. Because we've either got to find where the declaration is coming from. So let's just switch that off, and we're going to have to find where this declaration is coming from. It's not coming from anywhere. We searched the model. This is interesting. Oh, hang on. Oh my god. It's coming there. Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay. Let me just bring that out there. Like that. There we go. Let's try this again. In fact, I should be able to just step here. So I've clicked inside the save area. So let me just try running back from dummy 1, which is what we've originally put together. Yeah, that's annoying. I wonder if it's because it's running within the subroutine. If it is, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. So look in dummy 1. Yeah, you know what, Jack? You're right. Oh, that's awkward. That is awkward. Okay, let's just... I'm going to run this from the top again. Just run into the normal routine that we just did. Even though I know it's going to crash, it makes me wonder if it needs to be sitting inside of the submain. That, or we do an option explicit, which should open things up a little bit for us, but we'll see. Do I want to save? Hang on a second. I'm just going to click no and no. Just because. Oh, hang on a minute. What the hell are they? That's actually wrong. They're bringing out crazy values. Oh, that is a bummer. Okay, they're bringing out crazy values. Not the best for us, but it is what it is. So I think perhaps what we do is pull a variable out from above. So we're going to duplicate A. I think this won't fix it as of yet, but it will give us that one closer thing that we can get towards it. So I'm going to bring this down and I'm just going to call this a val and put that as a val, and I'm going to do a dim a val. Arguably we're going an integer, because I've never seen M2.76721. Not like you can get that, but so I'm going to try and bring that in as an integer. But this will have to run again for it to be successful. So let's run it again. Stop. Not even answering that one. I do want to save it. So aval is coming as 10. So that should now be M10. that is not what we're hoping for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in a term that's called option explicit, and it will allow it to execute within the subroutine. You may have done it when you're in college. Beautiful. Maybe not here. Ideally, this would be better if we could run this. So, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to comment all them out. And I'm going to comment them out as well. The reason I'm commenting them is we do have them declared above. We do have them declared above, and I just want to see if this is still gonna allow it to move, if you will, because all these are declared above, which puzzles me because they are declared above. So I'm going to come back onto here, because I think you're also right there as well, Jack, that we've got it declared twice and it runs, which is really puzzling. So run this again, stop that, and then let's run again. What's vital is that the userform 1 remains open, because if you remember, we're actually capturing a value from userform 1. But again, it is vital that that part closes, or else we're going to end up with lots of repeat variations, and it's not good for business. Right, so yeah, it is reading from the ones above. Okay, so I think then, for argument's sake, let's come back in. I just want to see if it is something that's internal. So if I come all the way above, come up to here, then there, and there. I'm just going to copy them out. I know that they exist above, so I'm going to copy them out and see if it is referring to needing to be, needing to be sitting inside of the active bits at the minute. So with this now, so I've got my end if. I'm going to comment out the call save. Don't need that. And just going to bring all them up as well, and that up as well. And like I'm sure you had to swallow an awful lot when you're in college, I'm going to bring all this in to there and dent it forwards like that, just to spell out where the hell I'm going. We'll pause it at that point, or break it, arguably break it at that point, and then come back into here. I'm going to close that, just so I know that the top level, when this runs now, it should close that active document, and that's what the key thing that we're after here. So I'll zoom it back up, run it again, run it to 10, and then let's run that through. How interesting. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that we run that through and then open up the newly saved part? Or what? What do you think? Yeah, I thought so as well. Because at least then it closes it, makes it obsolete, and then we open up the new part. So what I will do is also at the end where we got dot, I'm just going to put a space in and just say spring washer. Oh, do you think so? So ask the user if they want to open it. Yeah, okay. Good shout. At least then they've got an option, haven't they? So I'll go spring washer. Yeah, I think so. At least then, if you can just offer that option of do you want to reopen or do you want to open the newly saved part, something like that. So I'm just going to go back to my box because I'm ending up with lots here. So I'm just going to delete all them, bring that back out, and then what we'll do is run it through again. I just want to test, you know, that looping process that we were just doing. I just want to test that, and also I've got this obsolete one here now. I'd like to revisit that at some point. It should be able to, but it wasn't passing the variables backwards and forwards. I mean, this still does its job, of course, but so if I jump in, bring that out and go. I'm going to run it again and I'll go something, I'll go 5. So I should have a 10 and a 5 saved when it runs. So that allows me to just check the loops. Yeah, M5 spring washer, M12, oh, it's a 12 spring washer as well. So it's working. It's doing it's creating an inventory. Now this is yet again another benefit of using this type of stuff, because if people need to generate what they're after, so we run it in. I think perhaps on this option now though, because you look here, we're asking them, do they want to save? So they save. Do you want to run again? So now we'll go beneath that. I think if we go beneath that and then open it from there. So if I copy, paste that in, and what we'll do here is call this OP. We'll go OP. So I don't know. Do you want to open the last saved part? And it's this bit here. This is the bit that we need to have a play around with now, because then we've got an option to close it and then open it with its correct name. So then I'll go record, go open, then let's just go the M12. Again, it doesn't matter. What we're looking for is that get part open command. That's his real key with this. So I'll bring that back down to dummy, because the last one now I'm done with. So I'll bring that in and I'll extend dummy and let's have a look. Okay, yeah. Now, from what I see here, this is just a setup. What we'll do, because we're not sure, is let's take the whole deal. Let's take everything, let's come back in, and then for this, we'll just jump down, put it in like that. Now, I mean, the beauty is with this, is there's a few things that we do know. So I'll just dent that in, like that. We know that this is the actual coded reference, so I'll copy that and then I will paste that there. And because we've done the hard work of that, that should run. Now these, I think these are just referring to calibration on the views. Arguably, do we need them? Probably not. But let's just run it through anyway and check. I'll close this, and then let's run it through. Because at least then we've got a full example of this running. Oh, duplicates, silicon duplicates. Ah. No, I imagine that would be. It's like, I imagine there's going to be more yet. Is there? Is there? Oh, maybe not. Make me look a pillock. So I've got 10. Let's run. I do want to save it. I don't want to run it. I do want to open it. M10 spring washer. Oh my god, that is so delicious. I mean, there's other options as well. We don't have to necessarily close it. We could update the name. So let's have another look. Update name on the workbook. Oh, that's not what I'm after. My screen might zoom in and out. I'm getting used to a new mouse. It's got some really cool functions on it. So macro onto VBA. Oh no, it's not for Excel. Well, let's just go SolidWorks. SolidWorks. Oh, it's not renaming of parts, but it's near as damn it. Yeah, I don't think that'll work. Look at that. People are now trying to actually. Oh no, I'm not even going to entertain that. No, useless. No good. No. Oh. So it's coming in. And get current password. Status, SolidWorks, pack and go, common documentation. That's boring. I mean, that's how we've run it, but it's not updating the path. Wow. Okay, so if that's the case, then I'm just going to run this through again, and I don't think that will run the because what I'm interested in is updating that name after it's run. Because if I can update the name after run, I can probably do away with the last questioning. So if I go record, okay, and then stop. I'm going to call that dummy 1. Yes, I do want to update it. Just interested. Tell you what I didn't do. So I'll record this again, and I'm going to go save as. And the reason I'm doing it is I wonder what it's going to bring in. Right, so I rename that. Yeah. That's an interesting one, that. Because it is not doing like I was hoping it would do then. That's a bit of a bummer. But I mean, the beauty is technically, the minute we're still running, there is a few more things we could do to test that, to bring that up a little bit better. That update of the name is the most interesting one there for me. Because it's the saving the part aspect and updating the name. Interesting one. Okay. Right. I mean, the beauty is we do have the option. But disappointing that it wouldn't just open the name like that. Right, so what we would like, I mean, what I would really like is a way to bring out alternates as well. So what we'd like is, if you think about it, what we've got at the minute is this particular one, it will save it as, and it will just save it as a spring washer. But what if we could have one that would be labelled standard and non-standard? That'd be sweet, it really would. I just realised there as well, that reopening is still down as N12. That needs fixing, because that's activating the relative document. So what we'll do is do the similar sort of thing of what we did. We'll drop that to there, we'll put an ampersand in, and we'll drop in our a val, and then ampersand to that, and then another set on the end. Bring that away as well, and then that shouldn't do that. So oh, where are we at here? Where are we at? That should make the relative document active. Because again, it's brought in that M, it's dragging in that value that we've declared, and then it's dragging in the spring washer. I'm just thinking now how to bring in that standard. We do have a marker, if you remember. We've got the standards marker. So if I go up to above, we do have a marker of standards, true or false. In our case, it was O. Ooh. I might as well just do if O is true. So if I come back down and I go to here, so what we're going to do is bring it to new, and then it's there. So if O equal to true, yeah. Then so bring that back up, and then I'm going to tab that in, just a tab. Hey, and I'm going to go and if. Because that should then, if it's true, bring it out and call it. So if it's true, that was standards clicked. and then I'm going to use an else if. So now we used an else if the other day. I can't remember the proper declaration on that. Oh, it's if else. So if I go if else, equal to false. Oh, then. So what we can do is offer a fresh labelling. Arguably, do we not just push that to there, put that down to, whoops, put that down and bring that up to there, and bear with me, and then with that we then oh no, we're going to have to run it in both, aren't we, really, these two declarations. I was just trying to slim down the need for these declarations, but I presume that we're going to have to run them in both. We don't want to risk dropping that outside of the if statement, or else it's just going to cause us bigger problems, I think. Or is it? No, because we're still present in this if statement. So no, we can cut that, come down to here, and then within this if statement make that run regardless, because in our case we're making it run compulsory no matter what. So then if I come back here, copy that, and then paste into here, but on the back end of this I'll say, I'll just mark it as big C for custom. Then that should run in, and then if I come out of there and then type end if, that then drops it out, and then I should now be able to have an alternate option depending on what the user chooses. We'll have to replicate this here, so I'll just copy that because I am that lazy. I'm just going to copy that straight out, and this is where we're going to have to be a little bit careful, just because I think that's the declaration I'm talking about, so I'm going to copy that. Well, it's also that as well if you look, because it's referring to the last component set that we'd saved. So bring that down and make that there. So that becomes the last component set that we'd saved. I'm going to highlight the whole shebang, whatever, and then gonna comment that out. That then removes our old sets, if you will, and then I'm going to paste that in there as well, tab that in and tab that in, and again comment that out. And this is C, so And then what we are after is C. So these two now, I think these two become obsolete. Now the real test of this now, we'll be able to figure out if it's a custom or not, because it should run, save it in its pre-format. So I'll do a standard 10. I do want to save that configuration. Do I want to run again? Yes. And what we'll do is we'll drop out of that now and go to a custom. So we'll go outside, I'll go 6mm, and then I'll go, I don't know, 8mm with a thickness of 3mm. Remember the thickness, this thickness needs to be checked really as well. But if I go build, chunky beast. So I'm going to go save, yes, no, yes. So we should now have two categories, one under C and one under just no. I mean, we could mark that up as S if you wanted, because at least then we've got standard sets and we've got custom sets. So if I go to my new box, oh, it's gone to 10 again. There. So we have an M6 spring washer, which was custom, and we have an M10 spring washer, which is our standard. So we could do S and C, but it doesn't really matter. It just kind of shows that now we've got a way to output the parts independently to figure out if, well, I mean, this could be key to costing. Let's say the company charges an extra, I don't know, 50p per bulk amount of parts. If you go custom, and it is going to affect any type of input straight away if you get it. That's pretty mint. I'm quite pleased with that. Now, what I'd like to do is just remove the useless bits and sets up area for use. That's one thing that we've not done as we've gone through this. Mix part. So mix part the active document. So here, this is obsolete. So that's gone. The save as, I mean, we could. Is that the save function? No, that's still an open document, isn't it? That? It's just for me deleting. This is the save function. So that doesn't need to be done anymore. out of there. And let's have a look. Now this is a key one here. If you remember, this section here closes the part. Put multiple in there. I normally do that if I want to explain what a bulk area is going to do. So it's and then odd comments to the end will just give me a direct declaration as to what it's meant to be doing. So let's save that. Now I don't want to go much more than this, so there's a few more bits I want to do, and then the rest from this point on, Jack, is over to you. What you need to do is email me when you're having issues, but we're not done yet. So you say that, you've not had a go yet, but you say that. So, so we're into parts here. Now, I'm just going to close that. If you remember, right at the start, we set this. This was a predefined sizing. So if I come to here, and I'm going to set it to, let's have a look. Let's set it to 4, and let's just see. So if I run it to 4, and I'm going to run it, I'm going to stay with the custom options, because these are just the things I want to know. So I'm going to go 5, outer diameter of 6, and then I'm going to set that to 5. Now this is monstrous. In fact, this probably won't run because it's going to collide. This probably is fixable. I don't know if I want to fix it though, that's the point. So if you look on here, it runs in, comes onto there, goes to else, drops it out that size, so then does the standard stuff. Yeah, see the size of that? I mean, the helix should still go on there, which it does. I'd be surprised if that even generates a part, to be honest. Because you look at where the part sits here to here, it's going to collide monstrously. Now, what we'd have to do... Oh, maybe not. See, that's given us that offset, which really caught me off guard, won't lie. I don't want to save it, don't want to run it, don't want to do that. Okay, so then let's go the other side of this. Come back in, I'm going to run again, and what we'll do is go the other side of it. So if I click enter, and then I'll go small as I can go, and I'm going to go 1 and then build. So it's less than 1, so technically 2 falls into play. Worst thing is there is key configurations on this that will cause it to crash, and that's the most frustrating thing. So I run through, again I'm F80. Well, I've been made to look like a total pillock now, haven't I? My God, this is now running. This is oh hell, I can't seem to bust it at the minute. It's not what I was looking for. I'm looking for a bit more. Oh, that was good, but nope, that actually seems to do its job. Brilliant. Okay. What else can we do then? We need to run this through different cycles to be sure it's not going to break. It's just because if you come across people who use it and they're total idiots like me, then what they'll do is they'll keep trying different stuff to mess with you. So let's come down a bit. Let's go really daft. Let's go 22. I think this needs to be a bit bigger. So I'm going to go 26. God, I need to learn to get that hidden or something. There's so many lesson videos that I've done now where that keeps appearing. It's crazy. Students know more about my life than I do. So I run that in, and we've gone for the standard FT size. It's a 22, so it's a bigger. Bring it round, because the standard fillets, fillet. Jumps in, jumps out, and zoom to fit. You see, that's frustrating as well, because I think that is going to work. Is it though? Oh, hell! This is not... I mean, I'd never... Well, it was just because... I mean, yeah, you got a point. It was just because I was trying to see if there was any particular logic that I'd missed. Because when it runs, if I run it, if these gaps are too small or too big, what they'll actually do is, because if I run this from the top, you'll see what I mean. Because if you run it like that, it actually looks like a complete ring. But if I rotate it, it's actually, and it's because these two are run at zero clearance to each other, because they're a sweep that goes entirely 2 pi, and because it's 2 pi, it means it starts and finishes exactly at that point. But if these two collide, what it does is it won't complete the whole cycle correctly. But I don't remember fixing it, but I'm sure it didn't work at one point. But or maybe it does work and I've just forgotten. Oh hell, that's awkward. Yeah, well, okay then that's difficult because there's nothing to fix with that. Could have been better, won't lie. Right, so let's come back onto here. Let's do something now which, if it works, it is mint. If it doesn't, I'll deny everything. Yeah, well, watch this, Jack. See, even you're forgetting. You were laughing at me. Even you're forgetting. Remember, this was session 2, I think. Look at that. Yeah, yeah. You know, I forgot as well. I'm only laughing because I know exactly what you mean. You do so much, you come away and go, "What were we doing again?" There's just so much that we've written into this. If I'm honest now, I think this is looking a bit better than just a 2-2. It's more on verge of 2-1, and that's where I don't really want to go. I do want to stay at that particular 2-2. Yes. Yeah, because now that we've done that, let me just hit save. What we'll do now is I'll just take you through why this is not worth that much. Now what we've done is we've got a new part. Trouble is if I move this, as we found in the other sessions, when I move this, it crashes. So I need a way of reading from where this is actually coming from. There is a particular command which will snap that up and deal with it in one single hit. So that's a bit of an issue. And we come in, the execution for the user forms, for me, it works really well. In fact, let's just read down it like we're running through it properly. We've got some mid-declaration markers. Good practice, they are good practice. Load in the parts, so let's go into user form 2. Runs in, we've got a bit of a welcome box. To be fair, there is allocated marks to just jazzing it up, because let's face it, Microsoft do a good job, but my god is this boring. I mean, look at it. It's duller than dishwater. It really is. It's just boring. And there is an arguable thing of that any type of software that you use, if it is appealing, people are more drawn towards it, because they look and go, yeah, that's really cool, I like that. So there is an element of, in this, to just bring it out a bit. I know it sounds strange, colour it in. When we come into here, that's pretty sweet. It runs through its basic function, it's alright. Then once we're into here, we've got some very, very basic commands here. Now this, I say basic because the geometry is so simple that I could only really put in 3 options. We only having 3 options. Am I bringing it down a bit? I am bringing it down a bit. There's only 3 options. It's a spring washer. What more can I do? If this was a spring washer with particular markings on it, or if it was made a certain way, or I mean, arguably, what I could do perhaps is offer material type. Because I was looking, did you know you can actually buy spring washers which are carbon outside and they've got a nylon inside, and you think, is that not excessive for what you want? I mean, yeah, anyway. And yeah, I mean, the one thing that really does bring, this sounds silly, brings my mark up, is I've got that standards option. Now in my standards option here, I can reposition based on how I'm interfacing. That's pretty cool, like that, that's really good. But if you come back, you then come away and go, well, could you not, if I extend that out, could you not have a drawing here, which then drags in, if I went on my standards and I clicked on a standard, could it not be like a, if you imagine like call-outs on a drawing, on a 3-dimensional drawing, and then you put in text box that I couldn't input into, and it drags the other numbers from the Excel spreadsheet and puts them in there automatically. That would be very cool. And with that, again, it makes people think, wow, I've got more strength than what I thought I had. I've got more control than what I thought I had. Also, I mean, if anybody gets really into this, what really pushes it out the boundaries is the bits that I didn't really mention. We could use calculation. So if you think of a spring has a K value, it has a frequency. Spring washers, they're not exactly to the same, but they do have tension. They have an ability to resist. So you can buy spring washers under these conditions. You could do a bit of a calculation onto it. And so if the user doesn't know how strong they want it to be, what they could do is they could put in the M size, then they could put in what force is going to be acting on it, and then it makes recommendations from that, pulling from the standards. I wouldn't put it into custom, just because once you go into custom, it becomes a real pain for you. And you come away and think, it's not exactly what I was after. So I would do that. That's another great option that'll work really well for you. Let me just bring that back to there. Logos. In this assignment, I've just said to students, pretend that you're working for a company. And students were asking about referencing. Because you're marking it, I'm going to take that as you literally marking it as reference. So I would argue to the hilt because this is a simulated example, you're not really ripping anybody off. All you're doing is you're taking someone's present method of execution and you're just putting a bit of shine on it, you know. So I wouldn't worry too much with that neither. And then moving on, we've got a nice interface here. We've got a nice way to check if something goes wrong. We've got we have this check here. Arguably, there's only one check on it. Why is there not a check on here and on here? Why are they not all checked? So they should really all be checked, because these aren't. We do have a box disable. Oh yeah, I like this. I've always liked this because it's just been very nerdy. We've read from Excel. We've dragged the numbers from Excel. Our system now, if we take that Excel spreadsheet and update more values to it, will repopulate itself with more. So it means we've removed the douchebag element. So if some idiot gets onto your code and goes, no, it should be this, this, and this, and wrecks it, and you don't know what's happened, that now removes it. You can now encode your code, give it to anyone, and all they do is update the spreadsheet. So it's a simple thing. So you're doing a bit of error proofing for people who are going to use it. So that's quite useful. And then if we come back across, the geometry, we do have the ways of jumping in and out. Good way, like it, great way of doing it. And oh, the other thing on the user form, let me just jump back in. On the user form, we have checked for is numeric. There is ways of really pushing the code as hard as possible to break it. Is numeric will definitely take you to a good first, well, 2-1 stroke first. Depends how well you can hold it. But this will take you to a good point, because it really does stop me from doing all sorts to it. There is little ways, so and some students at the minute have really polished them ways. But this is a fantastic start for you. Where are we coming to here? Now the great thing is with this, guys, we took control of everything. We took control of the pitch, we took control of the fillet, even though we don't really know how big them fillets are going to be. But what this allows us to do though is it allows us to go to a company and say, well, we don't know how big the fillet is that you put on, but we've assumed this until further notice. So that's a good practice. But again, I've only got 3 dimensions. I'm only really dealing with 3 dimensions. It makes it incredibly tricky, and it's a ring that is bent. There's no real profile after this, so it's a basic thing entirely. We ran in. I tell you what we did do, which was quite nice. Let me just see if I can find it. I put this on here because this piece here is the one thing that's going to save a lot of people's arses when it comes to it. The zoom to fit. That snapping function, the ability to snap. Like I said, some students have just disabled snaps whilst they get things into position, then re-enabled them. If you automate a zoom to fit, it does save yourself a little bit. It does save a lot of hassle. And what we did is we doubled the size on the internal radius. So it gave us a big window, but big enough where snaps wouldn't be forgotten. So that is a big saver, And then, but yeah, this is where it becomes very simple. If you look, it's gone onto a drawing, and then we've got fillets, and then we just put some fillets on, which is great. Fillets are ace because we're able to select them fillets and drag them out. And then we've just an insert sketch, isometric, and then we put on a helix. And then if you look now, we are there. We are there. And that's it. So between there and there, that's really it. That's all I've really done. So if I had more geometry, let's say it was a spring. Let's say it was a race spring. We'd have a particular pitch, coil, spring radius, lengths. These are all particularly set for a predefined configuration. all these extra pieces of geometry make it that little bit more sophisticated. So you'll notice in the assignment, I asked you to verify, or at least justify your option for why you've chosen what you've chosen. This is why I was asking you to do it, because if I didn't, what you would easily do is tie yourself up in knots with a piece of geometry that's not really complicated enough. You'd need something to have lots of meat, if you know what I mean. But one thing that I wanted to do with it is I wanted to put in key complications onto it which you could easily apply to more complicated geometry, like this. So this allowed us to save it. We can pull out, is it a standard part? Is it a custom part? And if you are dealing with, if you've took my advice and you're dealing with a particular company's set of geometry, nuts, bolts, washers, not washers, but nuts, bolts, cotton rods, things like that, then they'll also have a pricing. So you could, by argument, you could put that pricing onto a spreadsheet, and then all that pricing will do is just flash up a thing at the end. This is your quote of how much it'll be, or something like that. And then what you've really got then is you've even got a bit of part that if you wanted to go and try and work for that company, you can go and say, look, you know, I ran my assignment on the stuff that you're producing. And then here for standards, if you remember on the standards, we needed to extract particular values. And what we did is we used subroutines for the fillets and for the standard sets. So yeah, I mean, it's for the basic part that it is, it's a good example. So if I hit save on that, as an indicator, if I go on to here, if I drag toolbox over, the couple of bits I've not examined further is, look here, we've got tab strip. So you know I've got two user forms, could just have it on a tab. Got multi-page where you can have drag it in and then click left and right. It just depends how you want to do it. Now I did away with these by having this, if you remember, because I turned that off, reconfigured all of these, and then it actually turned one user form into the appearance of that it was two, when it was always just one user form. List boxes and combo boxes, text box and a list box. If you combine these two together, you end up with a combo box. So that's just an indicator. I used a checkbox for my standards. Frames are useful for images. You actually have an image. Now the images are loaded by a predefined location, which is similar to when it opens up Excel or anything like that. And these are the key things that will really, really put your work on the edge. You know, put it on where it needs to be to really boost up the marks. But yeah, drag it out, put more features into it, put more topics within it, and that will be a good piece of work, a really good piece of work. Now I know that for the first time in the past 5 sessions, I've now run early. So have you got any questions before I actually draw this to an end? What I would say is get started. Anything that you're struggling with, given our climate at the minute, it's not really fair to say, well, it's exactly 1 o'clock, I'll be here, and otherwise don't talk to me. It's not fair to say that. So what I would say, email me, contact me over Teams. You can call me over Teams if you wish. If there's something that's really bugging you, honestly, get in touch. I can help you get it going. Now, I added 10 days onto the deadline. The university added 5 days onto the deadline, so you've all ended up with 15 extra working days. Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. to be honest, that is a far better way, because last week I was on here until I think it was 8:45, 8:30, 8:45, and I was solving a big problem for a student on the project. But through emails, I guarantee you, we probably would have never solved it, because it was, in a lack of better words, we kind of get lost in translation of the different topics and things like that. So yeah, 100%. Just message me over Teams. Let me know when you wanna speak to me, anything like that. And like I said, I'm not going anywhere because I'm not allowed to. But yes, 100%. Get in touch. I have recorded this, so I'm also going to save this. I'm going to stick this onto Teams, and then not onto Teams, onto Blackboard, and then you can review to your heart's content as well.